Good morning and welcome to the latest in our Friday Family Business Insights, this week with Stuart Dantzic from Caribbean Blinds in Sudbury. Good morning, Stuart.
Morning.
Let's start with some simple questions then, Stuart. So tell me a little bit about what Caribbean Blinds does and how you got involved.
Yeah, so Caribbean Blinds is a manufacturer of luxury external shading systems. We work for homes and businesses across the UK. Our most common product line you'll see on sort of high street shops, on restaurants, the outdoor canopies a lot of people sit under, along with on the back of gardens. We also do external blinds that go outside in front of the glazing to regulate solar heat and light. And our most successful product line to date is actually our aluminium pergola with an opening louvered roof that we market under our brand Outdoor Living Pod. We're a second generation family business, so I've grown up around the business. I worked in the business during my school summer holidays to earn some pocket money, and then I sort of naturally gravitated towards the business sort of as I was going through doing my GCSEs. I went to college, lasted there 3 months, and then I took the plunge, joined the business full time.
What sort of memories do you have growing up then? Was it your parents that set the business up?
Yeah, so my parents set the business up. Actually, my dad yesterday sent me a copy of a snippet of a flyer when the company was set up as a non-limited company. So whilst we've been going since '87 as a limited company, the company was actually founded in '73 as a non-limited company. So yeah, I mean, as I was growing up, as parents' business, school summer holidays, I wouldn't be out with the other kids. I'd be in the offices. My parents were always working, growing a business. They started a business from scratch. So I'd be in the office helping out, doing some admin, filing some papers, through to sweeping the factory floors and earning some pocket money that I could then go out and buy, at the time, penny sweets, I seem to remember, what I'd spend the money I earn on.
Fantastic. And so your parents took quite a big leap to set up their business. And what did you want to do when you grew up, in terms of when you were growing up? What were your aspirations? You said you went to college and then joined, but what were you looking to try and do?
I'd always wanted to be a lawyer. So, I mean, actually, if I go back to a young age, I wanted to be a bodyguard, and that just came off the back of watching The Bodyguard as a film. But actually, when I started to grow up and mature a bit, I decided, I'd actually wanted to be a lawyer, and that's what I went to college studying. I lasted 3 months because I was going to college working part-time. Going to college and then working part-time, and then what happened in 2001 is my parents said, look, we're going to move from rented premises, we're going to buy a factory in Sudbury. And I was working part-time and going to college, and so on the one hand I was getting education, on the other hand I was earning money. My parents made this commitment to buy a factory. I liked the business, I liked the end result, I liked seeing people's homes and gardens transformed and what our products brought to someone's life. And then when they said they were buying a factory, I took the plunge and said, okay, I'll leave college and work full-time in the business. So yeah, it was a natural thing. I think my parents certainly my dad had always wanted me to come into the business, but he'd never pushed me to. I think having grown up around the business, seeing the benefits of having your own business in terms of going on nice holidays, etc. But also the other side, there is a lot of hard work that goes into it. But yeah, I naturally gravitated towards it in a sort of more sales and marketing role. But I went into it with my eyes open. I wanted to get involved in every element of the company, so that I knew actually what went into it, rather than just coming into a role for the sake of it, if that makes sense.
And do you have brothers and sisters? Are there other family members involved?
Yeah, so I've got one brother. He's 18 months younger than me. He was always destined to be in the business. He's very, very hands-on. So he joined 2 years after me. So he didn't go to college. He finished his GCSEs and then came straight into the business, straight into the factory. And now, my brother looks after the company, is operations director, so he oversees the running of the company every single day, managing our factory, our installation teams, and our office. So it's funny, because when we grew up around the business, my brother and I, we'd always have arguments about the things that were going on in the business. But since we took the reins of the business, everything's really running seamlessly. But we have our own defined roles. So whilst, yes, there is a crossover because we're both running the company, he's very much hands-on, looking after the factory and the installers, whereas I'm developing the business sales and marketing side.
So do you think those defined roles really help you keep together and unified and kind of keep that harmony and culture going?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you've got multiple family members wanting to do the same role or get involved in the same thing, everyone's got different ideas, and it's not that someone's idea is wrong, it's just you all end up clashing. So the fact that we've got defined roles and we like our roles as well, it's not a case of we're doing these roles because that's what our parents set us and we've had to do them. We're doing roles that we actually genuinely enjoy doing. I think that makes a big difference. Yes, we have a common goal of where we want the company to go, and we'll sit down, and when we're making big marketing commitments in terms of expenditure on capital expenditure on machinery or building extensions, yes, we'll sit and have a long chat over it about what it means across the whole business. But I know every day the company runs smoothly because my brother's here looking after the factory, looking after installation teams. And he on the other side knows that every day that there'll be volumes of orders hopefully coming in, and volumes of inquiries coming in, because I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah, so it kind of works hand in hand, but you work together
work hand in hand. We work together to drive. We have our own defined roles, but one common goal.
Yeah, okay. And give us a scale for how big the business is. How many staff are there?
So we've got 24 staff now. We're housing a factory that's just over 20,000 square feet. I've just signed the contract to build an extension of further 10,000 square feet on the side of our factory. So we're quite fortunate where we are. So when my parents moved the factory to Sudbury back in 2001, we were in a terraced industrial unit. There was only one unit left next to us on one side, which we ended up buying, and then we outgrew that. And now we're in a unit that's got a large yard to one side, so we're actually building in our yard, which is quite future-proof the business. We haven't got to worry about upheaval and moving somewhere else. Yeah,
and Sudbury, that's in Suffolk, yeah?
Sudbury's in Suffolk, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So one of the sunniest counties probably in the country for you to be in, so probably a good place to be based.
Yeah. It's a nice area. I mean, sometimes it's the last 20 minutes driving into the office, or for people driving here, it's all back roads, but it's a nice country location. We're actually fortunate where we are on our industrial estate, that we're tucked up in the corner right next to the fields. We overlook the whole industrial estate. So we've got a lovely unit, lovely location, and a great team as well.
So it's grown significantly. I guess it's grown in the past few years and continues to grow now.
Yeah, so mine and my brother's plan when we took the reins back at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, our 3-year plan was to double the size of the business, which we achieved at the end of last year.
Okay.
So yeah, we've quite significantly grown. We've got 24 team members. We've increased our net worth by 3 times as well, which is really good. But I think part of that's come around. We had our own ideas and our own visions. So we were just able to take the company to the next level by actioning those ideas and initiatives that we'd had that we hadn't been able to action up until that point.
And are your parents still involved?
No, they are active on social media, or my dad is anyway, so I can always see every time we post something how he's sharing it, or
fantastic,
liking it or commenting on it. And so yesterday he read a piece in the newspaper, and that's what initiated him to send me a copy of the article about when he actually started the business as a non-limited company. But no, they've taken a full back seat now. They do both remain on the board of the company, but they needed to. They founded the company, so it's important they're named on the headed paper as the founders of the company. But they've sort of wholeheartedly handed it over, so to speak. And that's good as well, because it's given my brother and I the confidence to do what we need to be able to do without, not sounding disrespectful to my parents, but without them interfering, because we had our own ideas and our own ways of what we wanted to do and what we needed to do to progress the company forward.
So they're still on the board, but in terms of actually running the business, you took it over with your brother a few years ago now. How did that transition? Did you plan that transition process? How was that? How effective was that? And then talking about some of the initial things that you thought about doing and then you implemented from that day in terms of putting your stamp on the business.
Yeah, so it was, to be fair, it was quite an awkward time of the business talking to my parents about taking the business forward, because my parents had grown the business to a level that they were happy with. So they've obviously started the business from nothing, and they've grown it to, I would say, even at the time, it was the leading external shading manufacturer in the UK. But they were happy with where the business was. They were going on their nice holidays every year, and when they were going on holiday, they could leave the business running in mine and my brother's hands. But we had ideas of where it could go and how we could significantly scale it up. So we started to have a conversation early on in 2016, actually. We started to have an exhibition, if I remember right. I think we were exhibiting the grand designs, and just one of the subjects that got brought up one evening was that there's loads of potential. How do we maximize potential and what it's going to take to do it? So yeah, we had it was an awkward time, because we're talking about us completely taking over, them taking a back seat. But it was the right time. Everything was aligned, if that makes sense. So they're taking it as far as they could do. They were happy with where it was. We knew it could go further, and we had the drive and the hunger to take it further. But also we'd grown up around the business, so we knew the ins and outs of the business. It wasn't a case of we'd just come into the business in the management role. But brother and I have both done every single element of everything that the company does. So from working on the factory floor, from sweeping the floor even, to building the products, to confectioning materials, to doing the admin side, filing papers, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we came to sort of, I think after 6 months, we'd worked out a sort of transition, and then that transition period took place the last quarter of 2016. So it's sort of officially from 1st of January, my brother and I had taken over, although sort of 3 months before that, we started initiating some of the plans we wanted to implement. So one of the first things we've done that was really important to us was we brought all our marketing in-house. So it was a big investment. So rather than use agencies out of house, we brought it in-house. And the main reason for that is we wanted someone who lived and breathed what we'd done, so they knew what goes into our products, what makes our products so fantastic, so they could effectively market that out. And when you're working with an agency, there's some great agencies out there, don't get me wrong, but they don't live and breathe what you do, and they can't convey that over to end consumers in the same way someone in-house can do.
Especially if you're living and breathing it like you have done right from pretty much day one, then it's in your blood, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. So we done that. That was our first sort of big investment in terms of increasing our staff, bringing our marketing in-house. And then we also wanted to create the biggest show site for external shading in the UK. So we've got, as I mentioned, we're on a nice industrial unit. We've got lots of outdoor space. So we've got a couple of thousand square feet out the front of the factory that was just a combination of car park, earth and grass. So we organised for a landscaper to come in, design some show gardens where we had our products, put some furniture under them. So that was a 6-month plan from January 1 to the start of summer, and we had a big launch at the start of summer 2017 where we brought down all of our trade dealers to sort of see the refreshed company. We also updated our brand logo as well at the same time. We just refined and finessed it, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while. We'd updated it previously about 7 years before, I think, but again, it was just about freshening it up. Again, about putting our stamp on it, these little things that we've wanted to do. But I guess the biggest initial investment was the show site. So we spent 6 figures on developing the show site. But it's probably our best investment to date because clients do come here from all over the country. So whilst we're based in Suffolk, we've had clients fly over from Jersey even to our show site. They've travelled down from Leeds, Manchester. And it's a bit like when you're buying a car. If you're spending a large sum of money, you want to see, touch and feel the product. So the show site's paid for itself over and over. And the benefit when our clients get here is not only do they see our products firsthand, they actually see there's a genuine business behind it. They see the factory, they see the staff on site, so it fills them with confidence. So when we're asking them for north of 20k for one of our outdoor living structures, they're confident in purchasing it because they know, right, the product's of good quality, they're physically seeing the company, the establishment, etc.
So in terms of your kind of your business and the values, then you took over a business that your parents had created. So the staff were obviously recruited initially and brought on by your parents. How did the transition, so from a staff perspective, to go the next generation come in and start making all these changes, was there any change in kind of the culture of the business in terms of the way it moved forward? Was it?
No, I think all the staff that are with us today, I've been around the whole time. So our longest standing member of staff started about 6 months after I joined the business. So it's not a case of we've come in, taken over the business and made all these changes. These staff have been with us all this time. So they've known me, they've known my brother. And my brother, to be fair, even though we've taken over the business, he's been running the factory for many, many years before. We did implement a number of changes in our factory. So we invested in new machineries and changed some of our processes. But what we've done in doing that process, it wasn't a case of my brother and I sat down and said, right, this is what we're going to do. We actually got some of the key team members involved and said, look, we need to increase our efficiency. We want to increase our quality, etc. These are some of our ideas, but what do you think? And come up with the ideas as crazy as they may sound, because sometimes a crazy idea is actually a good idea, or you can rework that crazy idea to make it a sensible idea. So yes, some ideas they came up with were absolutely bonkers, if I'm honest. Other ideas we implemented because they were actually really simple ideas. We didn't think of them, but again, because these guys are on the factory floor, they're doing their role every day. They know their role better than I know their role. So we got them involved in what we were doing, and it just created a tighter bond as well, because we got them involved rather than just implementing something, saying, right, this is the way we're now doing this going forward.
So the real team culture underpinning everything that you do, and it kind of comes together.
I mean, the key, one of my team members said to me what he likes most about the job is it's not about the volume of products he gets out, it's about the quality of it, and they take great pride in their work. So I'm really happy about that. So it is a team culture, and if there is any issues, they get resolved straight away, whether that's a production issue or even an issue between team members. We are a family business, and I class our team as part of the family, because most of the team have been with us for well over a decade.
And what values are important to you as a business? What sort of values underpin the way that you work and how you operate?
So for us, it's ethics is a big thing. So the industry we're in, I guess it happens in a lot of industries. We hear about a lot of companies saying their products will do something that they won't. So we have a very honest and ethical approach. If we don't believe our products are the right fit for a client, we will say we don't believe it's the right fit. So that's the way the business has grown, and that one being honest and ethical. We're also dedicated to the field, so we've never veered off our track. And what I mean by that is we purely do external shading. So we don't even get involved in interior blinds or any other home improvement products. And again, that was the way my parents started the company. That was one of their biggest selling points. We've made sure we stayed on track. Yes, we've developed our product range. We've become more innovative in our product range. We've made sure our products will work all weathers rather than just for sun protection, but they are still external shading products.
And being part of that industry sector is really important to you, isn't it? You really do champion your sector, which is a niche sector. You've really pushed that forward and pushed those boundaries.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we're really proud of the fact that we purely do external shading, and we really do what we can do to push the sector forward. And also the fact that our products are made here, we do push that as well. And that's certainly over the past 6 months, that's been even more prevalent, how important that is to consumers, that the products are made here. And that's something we pride ourselves on.
Yeah, the Made in Britain badge seems to be really sort of resonating even more at the moment. I guess we can't avoid the conversation in terms of the whole pandemic that's going on at the moment, which is taking over a lot of time for a lot of business owners. How's it been for you? I think you've probably bucked the trend somewhat listening to you earlier, but how's it going for you guys?
Yes, so I mean, the first thing, we had big growth plans for this year. So I mentioned to you, we doubled the size of the company over the past 3 years, and we're now planning on quadrupling the size of the company over the next 5 years. So when the pandemic came around, the lockdown occurred 2 weeks after we had our dealer conference. So we motivated all our dealers to go and sell more products, and then 2 weeks later they were locked down for several weeks. But we sat back and we looked at the situation. Actually, we're of the opinion that people aren't going away. There's a travel ban. They're not going on holiday. They're in their homes. They want to be outside of their four walls, so they'll go into their gardens. They're beginning to realise their home is their castle again. It's their safe haven. So we refreshed our marketing almost instantaneously. So we launched our Holiday at Home campaign about helping clients make the most of their gardens. We ramped up our marketing budget as well on the basis that more people were at home. But one of the things I always say to people is the reason we done that wasn't for a short-term gain, it was for our long-term goal. So whilst people might not have been making large investments or large purchasing commitments there and then, it would sow the seeds that when we come out of this, whatever the new normal is, they would spend the money. What we've actually found is in the short term, people's holiday budgets are being spent on their garden. And one of the key elements for their garden is shade and shelter, because we have unpredictable weather here. We go from brilliant sunshine to it pouring with rain. So actually, we've had a short-term gain. In fact, last month, we've had a record May in the company 33-year history, and we're on target to have a record June as well. So that was an added bonus that our additional marketing has paid off much quicker than we anticipated, but it will still have the benefit of long-term goals. So as our competitors were taking their foot off the gas, we were the only name consumers were seeing. So we ended up at some points, our web traffic was triple what it was at our peak last year. We've had a very successful past 4 weeks. And for us, the future looks very bright. And I think certainly for the next 18 months, 12 to 18 months, this holiday at home is going to be more prevalent. People aren't really wanting to go away. And we've done some market research on it recently just to get some data on it. Where is this something to say? Something that's going to stay, sorry. And we found out that 2/3 of Brits, even if the holiday ban or the travel ban was lifted, would rather stay at home because they felt too anxious to travel abroad. So I think not just our sector, but I think the whole home improvement sector, those companies who are proactive, innovative, they continue marketing and they offer quality products and services, they will do very well over the next 12 to 18 months, because I think that's an area people are going to spend their money.
I think it's interesting as well, you're turning it into an opportunity, and admittedly probably the weather's helped. We've had some glorious weather in the last couple of months too, but actually you're still investing and you're not switching off the marketing tap, so you're continuing to invest in the business, which I've seen other family firms doing and actually doing it really successfully rather than actually turning off the tap. So that investment hopefully will bear fruit in the longer term.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you need to carry on marketing even when times are tough. And I am old enough to remember the last recession as well. And that's something we've done in the last recession. We carried on marketing. We increased our dealer network as well. And that helped to increase our sales, or I should say maintain our sales at the time. And then we had an increase in sales later on down the line. But I'm a firm believer that you have to carry on marketing. You have to be clever about your marketing as well. But one thing that did happen is because less people were marketing, online marketing, the cost of pay per click came down. So we were saving 20 pence per click at one point. So we were actually getting more bang for our buck, excuse the expression. You could also negotiate harder with magazines because they had advertisers pulling out. So you could get prime positions, or you could advertise in more magazines for virtually the same price. So the cost of marketing, yes, whilst we did spend double, we actually got more than double coverage we would have done because the cost of our marketing came down.
So again, looking at budgets and looking at what the spend was before and actually managing that spend in a crisis actually helps you achieve the long-term goals. So.
Yeah, it did. And when we spent more money on marketing, one of the first things we said is, as a worst case scenario, this is brand awareness. We're not going to see any actual financial benefit from doing what we're doing. So how much can the company afford to commit additionally on marketing that we don't mind ultimately wiping off the bottom line? So that's the way we had to look at it from a very pessimistic scenario. From an optimistic, it was that we'd start generating additional business straight away, which we actually did. And from a realistic, it was about the long-term goal.
Yeah. So 3 strands to the strategy, but actually a strategy that's beginning to come to fruition for you now, which is fantastic to see.
The strategy, which us and the entire team are really happy about.
And presumably there's been issues in terms of the pandemic, in terms of looking at social distancing, how people work, and the whole communication, that cultural kind of piece that you've had to deal with as well.
Yeah, so we're fortunate because of what we do, we create bespoke products, and our typical product sizes might be between 4 and 7 meters in length. That our workstations, you don't have anyone really working that close to each other. So aside from the offices and the canteen, we're actually, before the pandemic, we were pretty much socially distancing anyway, just because of the nature of what we do. I guess the hardest area for us has been our installation teams, because they do have to travel to site. So there has been an increase in cost for us there, because we're having to send 2 vehicles to one site rather than 1 vehicle with 2 team members in. So there is an increase in cost in there, but we are getting a saving on not staying away in hotels. So teams would regularly stay away. So again, that balances itself out. But yeah, social distancing is, I think every business can adapt. For some businesses, it's harder than others. We're fortunate to be in a sector and doing products where it's relatively simple for us to adapt. After we put the signage up, run our teams through the processes, it's been a relatively seamless transition. Yes, as human beings, we're used to transitioning towards people. So it's hard when you see the team in the morning that you don't want to go and have a coffee with them and sit down around the table with them, or outdoor in one of our outdoor spaces. But once you overcome that, it's been a relatively, seamless transition, and our entire team have worked hard and worked well to make sure that they abide by it. They're aware of it, and also not just when they're working in the building, but when they're outside at home in their lives.
Just come in terms of actually, what do you love about what you do? What kind of, the question is effectively, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What drives you to do what you do?
I love seeing the business grow. I love the end result of our products. So I love hearing feedback from end customers saying, "Oh, this has transformed the way I use my terrace. This has kept our property cool. I can now live in my property or live in my concern," whatever it may be. So I love the end result of our products. I'm a products man, so I like going into the factory and seeing the products being made. There's nothing better than walking in the morning and hearing the machines going, seeing our team produce the products, and hearing some of their banter as well. So it shows that they're enjoying doing it. But I guess fundamentally, I love winning. So I love, and by that I mean the business growing. And so after past 3 years, we've doubled the size of the business. Yes, we've had a blip with the pandemic where we had to shut for 4 weeks, but we're now seeing that our investment in marketing is paying off, and we've had a record May, and we're on target for a record June. So yeah, it's seeing the business grow, and it's winning big projects as well, especially when we're up against our European competitors, because Europe is a big market for our sector, and we have European competitors who ship their products into the UK, and these are large companies that dwarf the size of us. But when we go up against them for a project, the reason people buy from us is our expertise, because we're dedicated to the field. We don't get involved in anything else. We're based in the UK, and this is all we do. And I also think the passion for what we do shows through, because it's not just I'm passionate about what I do and my brother is passionate about what he does. If you speak to any of our team, whether it's our installers on site or our factory, they're all passionate about their role, and we're all working towards that one common goal. And everyone knows they have a key part to play, and I think they feel valued in that. It's not a case of, well, you're just doing that, it doesn't matter, because everyone matters. We need all the wheels to turn at the same time, at the same speed.
What do you think makes family businesses kind of special? What makes Caribbean Blind special? What makes a family business special to you?
So I think it's the fact that it's the passion. I really do think it is that. I say this to everyone. It's the passion, and I think it's because we care about what we do. We're not some big multinational with multiple directors who are just there to earn their big bonuses. Yes, we pay ourselves, obviously, as every company pays themselves. And yeah, we want to sell more and make more and turn over more and be able to pay ourselves more so we can have an even better lifestyle. But I think it's the fact that we genuinely care about what we do in the end result, and we're always progressing. We never sit still. We're always looking, right, this is the way we're doing something now. How can we even improve on that? And what's the next stage after that? And what's the next stage after that? So we're always looking to the long term. And I think a lot of family businesses look to the long term, and that makes a difference. Whereas a lot of other companies or non-family businesses, there's some great ones out there, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of them look to the short term. I mean, how can they make as much money as quickly as possible? And for us, it's about that long-term goal. So for me, my parents were in the business for 30 years. Now we're going, right, how are we going to put our mark on it for the next 30 years? Where are we going to take it to in the next 30 years?
Yeah. I get that, and your passion really comes through when you talk about what you do. It's obvious. You can see it on your face, you can see it on the screen, you can hear it. Are there any downsides?
Yeah, you don't switch off. I never switch off. So I can be wherever I am. I can be on holiday and I'm still thinking about things. In fact, I get a limit. My wife puts a limit on how much I can use my phone on holiday. I can check my phone once a day. That's it. So yeah, I think you don't switch off. And me and my brother, when we meet up socially, we end up talking about business. But again, that just shows the passion for it, and that we want to drive the company forward, and we are driving the company forward. But I would say that is a downside, because you do need time to unwind, you do need time to reboot, and being switched on the whole time just doesn't give us that time to refresh ourselves.
And you've probably answered my question already, but so how do you switch off? What do you do to relax?
So for me, an hour and a half a day working out. I can zone out then. I can switch off then. As long as I leave my mobile phone at home, I can switch off then. That's my hour to an hour and a half of switching off. I did try taking up running when the pandemic kicked in, but I found that I couldn't actually switch off while I was running. I had too much going through my mind, and I'd find, because I was running with my music on, I'd have my phone on me, and halfway through my run, I'd be phoning the office or messaging my brother saying, "Oh, we need to talk about this tomorrow." But yeah, for me, working out works well. For my brother, he's got a young family, so I know they keep him on his toes, and he can manage to switch off when he's with them.
You talk about your brother and obviously the next generation coming through. You're both quite young, so I guess the long term. What is the long term plan?
So, I mean, it's something we talk about every year, actually. When we meet up with our accountants, they tell us what we plan to do when we retire. And I say to them, I'm only 34. I've got no plans on retiring at the moment. If I'm honest, we haven't sat down and talked about the long-term goals. We talked about the next 5 years. I've talked about until I'm 45, in fact, so the next sort of 11 years for me. But fundamentally, what will happen is the idea will be it will remain as a family business. So I'm sure as my brother's children grow up, he'll get them involved if they want to be involved. Certainly, probably the same way he got involved, which is earning some pocket money initially. And then if they like it and they want to be involved, then there's no reason why they won't get involved, and we'll let them get involved. I'd never want anyone forced from within the family to be within the business, because I'd want them to have the same passion for it as I do, as my brother does. So I guess it will ultimately depend on whether family members have the same passion as we do and they want to get involved. And if they do, we'll wholeheartedly embrace that. If they don't, we'll then have to look at other options. Sure.
And what's your proudest, as a business, what's your proudest achievement to date?
That's a hard one. I guess I would probably say 2011, when we launched what we call our project side of the business. So this was my baby at the time. So I'd come up with this whole business plan, this whole concept about how we could grow the business. So up until that time, we fundamentally sold via trade dealers. And I noticed we were missing out on winning large projects, commercial projects, working with architects and that. So we started this project side, which is all about educating the specifier community and getting them to specify our products on larger scale commercial as well as residential premises, and then we would go out and survey and install those products. And in the space of 5 years since launching that, so 2011 through to 2016, that side of the business grew to the same level as our trade side, doing the same turnover. And as of today's date, that accounts for 85% of our revenue. So yeah, I mean, that was probably my biggest single achievement. Last year I won Young Business Person of the Year at the Suffolk Business Awards, which was great. That's a single achievement, but I would say that was my biggest overall achievement. And my brother was behind me there because I was looking after the front end, developing relationships with architects and specifiers, and he was making sure behind the scenes everything for that sector went through and run smoothly.
So it's a real sibling team. You and your brother seem to work really well hand in hand.
We do, yeah. We work hand in hand. I guess that 2011 onwards was when we really started to work incredibly well together, and that's also built up this confidence that we were ready when the time came to grow the business and take it on to the next level, because between us we had all the bases covered.
Yeah, and if you could turn the clock back and talk to your younger self before you really took on the management role with your brother in terms of running the business, yeah, what would you say? Is there anything you've learned subsequently that you would tell yourself to do differently? What advice would you have to other NextGens in your position?
I think, yeah, don't run before you can walk. So I know when I was younger, I have lots of ideas and I want to go and implement these ideas, but you need to learn the basics first. But overall, I wouldn't actually change anything, because the reason the company is where we are today and I'm the person I am today is because of my failures. So I remember we committed to a 3-year deal on working with architects on the CPD scheme, which at the time seemed like a great idea when we signed the paperwork, and actually it was the wrong decision. So we tied up a large amount of money doing that. But by doing it, we know going forward, that's not the way for us to do things. So I think you learn from your mistakes, and you have to make mistakes to grow as an individual and as a business. So yeah, I mean, it would be lovely if we always made the right decision every single time, but everyone's human. We need to learn from our mistakes. So yeah, the only thing I would say is just listen to the people around you, brace with the whole team. So don't just go into a management role. Make sure you work from the ground up, so you know the ins and outs of the business, and you get the respect from the whole team as well. Because I've heard of a number of businesses where someone will come into a management role and they'll have no respect from anyone else in the business, because they've come in, they've started to implement changes, and they don't actually understand behind the scenes of the business itself.
Yeah, that's where the culture comes in, is the whole culture and the leadership style. We're kind of wrapping up a bit now in terms of if you could sum up Caribbean Blinds in sort of 3 words, what words would they be?
Knowledge.
Never an easy question.
Yeah, no. Knowledge, passion, and dedication. That'd be my 3 words. Yeah.
So for me, those are the 3 words that you've demonstrated throughout this whole interview in terms of your passion for what you do and the way that you do it. I think all we can do is wish you all the best on the journey that continues, and hopefully it continues in the way it's grown so far today, and we look forward to seeing the rest of that journey continue. Stuart, it's been a real pleasure to interview this morning. We wish Caribbean Blinds all the best for the summer and 2020 into 2021 and beyond as you achieve your goals, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Andrew, thanks, Stuart.
Thank you.